Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 600th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Shea for the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Mr. Thom Shea, and it's Tom with an H. And I asked him about that towards the end. Funny story. But great guy, retired Navy SEAL. He was a SEAL sniper. He was an instructor of the sniper school for many, many years. Just a great all-around guy. He's been out for 9 years. He's written 2 books. We talk about both of them. His most recent one, and the blog title is the title of the book, 3 Simple Things, Leading During Chaos. And there's always chaos, right? I mean, if you're growing, it's chaotic. If you're shrinking, it's chaotic. If the economy is just bumping along, there's still some chaos you better prepare for. The longer that things stay calm, the more likely there will be chaos. So, I mean, it's always chaotic. I think Jack Welch, the CEO of GE, said, if the change outside of the organization is greater than the change inside of the organization, then like failure is certain, or something like that, right? It's like you better be adapting and looking to improve. And now, granted, it doesn't need to be truly chaotic, but you've got to be leading change. You've got to be prepared for change. You've got to be able to adapt. Obviously, in war, and Navy SEALs understand war. Tom spent 23 years. He's seen his fair share of it. So he is well qualified to speak about it. But you'll see, like most SEALs, I don't think I've ever met a cocky SEAL. And I've known quite a few over the years doing the frogman swim. And then just some guys I went to school with crossed over and became SEALs. Just humble, just good dudes. And that comes with the territory. When you are competent, you don't have to be arrogant. Like my mama says, it ain't bragging if you can do it. So, let your actions speak louder than your words. And Tom's one of those guys. So get ready to take some notes. He's got a lot of zingers. We go for almost an hour. Could have gone longer. Most of these guests are solid people in their field, and talking to combat vets, it's I could talk for a long time. So it's well worth the listen. Like I said, you can take some notes. I'll do a review towards the end. I have made a lot of updates and changes to the 12 Weeks to Peak program, 12weekstopeak.com. It's still free. It might be getting too complex, but I don't think so. I'll walk you through it. But the old adage, if you can measure it, you can improve it, right? I've built in some cells to track when you go to bed, when you wake up. You just enter it, it tracks it. And now, rather than, there are a couple of programs out there that if you miss any of the things on any day, then you fail and you go back to the beginning. And that's fine when you're tracking a handful of things and it's more physical in nature. This is so comprehensive. It looks at things you must do to grow your business. It looks at personal development. It looks at professional development. It looks at just lifestyle. And I didn't want you to be discouraged if something got out of whack. And especially in business, if you're traveling, or if you're at a trade show, or you just got a busy appointment day, maybe you spend a few days booking meetings and a few days, hitting them hard. You're not going to be able to do everything on this list, probably. All right. So if I put a gun to your head, you could, but I don't want you getting out of whack, totally out of balance. I don't want you getting dejected. So if you remember, I did a book review on a book called Atomic Habits, and it's by a guy named James Clear. And that was back episode 553. So almost a year ago, 9 months ago, April 20th, 2022, Atomic Habits. And he talked about Pat Riley when he got to the Lakers. And he created what he called a career best effort metric. And so the concept there was, if you look at the stars, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, you see them put up big numbers. points, rebounds, assists, steals, maybe block shots. And if you just look at that at the surface, they would always be the best. But Pat Riley said, look, I want you to always be working on getting 1% better. And so he would take all the positives like that, subtract the negatives, turnovers, whatnot, and then divide it by the number of minutes played. And that came up with a number, kind of like a batting average. And so then it's kind of like handicapping the players, because if somebody comes off the bench, plays 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because they're being measured on their output while they're on the court, then this is a fair measurement. So if a guy comes in for 15 minutes and scores 15 points and has 5 rebounds and 2 block shots, 3 steals, 2 assists, he's going to have a better metric for that game than Magic Johnson, who maybe has an off night, only scores 20 points in 40 minutes. Okay, so I've created that in the program. So now you still have some metrics, and I want you to follow the program the way it's set up, but you can tweak some of the fields. You may be doing some different things in your job, but I want you to do a lot of things, do a little bit of a lot of things for 1 quarter to really determine what works. You may have a breakthrough, right? You may have shied away from doing some things just out of habit, or you just were afraid of it or whatever. So I want you doing what I put in there. And again, you tweak it a little bit. I've got some recommended numbers in there, but now you're going to have 2 CBEs, 2 career best effort metrics. One is just, it's a 1 or a 0. Did you do each of the line items? And then add the amount of time you were at work, and it'll give you the number. But then it also will give you an absolute. So, for example, if you, instead of 20 cold calls, if you make 50, instead of writing 700 words, if you wrote 2,000 words that day, then, so it's good to know, just, are you getting things done? Simply, yes, no. But now we can give we can qualify that number a little better when you have some better days. All right. So, and again, it happens automatic. So as you type in the info, just go down the list. It'll track it for you, calculate it for you, and then I'll be creating some charting. That's not in there yet, but it'll come. But again, it's free to do. Join the free group on LinkedIn. I'll support you through the program. Ask questions. I'm adding more resources to the tracking sheet. I've written, thousands of blog posts and pages, and 600 episodes, and 50-something episodes on the CRM Sushi podcast. So I'm on each subject. I'm finding relevant resources and linking to those just to help you go deeper into each one and just get 1% better. That's the goal. All right. So 12weekstopeak.com. Get you some of that, and then come back and listen to this interview with Thom Shea. Thom Shea, living in the worst place in America, Greenville, South Carolina. Nobody should move there. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Hey, brother. Thanks for the time to bring me on. Appreciate you.
Hey, my pleasure. So you are a man of a few talents, shall we say. You wrote Unbreakable, a Navy SEAL's way of life. Then you had to do it again, huh? 3 simple things leading during chaos. You spent over 2 decades as a Navy SEAL, right? And were you an instructor in sniper school? Is that right?
Yeah, I was I taught it 15 times over the course of 23 years.
So what does that mean? How long is the course or the certification?
Oh, wow. I think like everything, it changes for the worse. When I went through as a student, it was 3 months long and had about a 40 or 60% attrition rate.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I gained rank and I taught a bunch of times, I took it over in 2010 for 2 years as the lead, person in charge. And I made it into about a 2.5 month long course. and made it harder and harder. And we graduated 90%, which is, hey, when you ask people to do more, they usually do. When you ask them to be lazy, they show up that way.
So you made it harder and increased the passing rate.
Yeah, well, imagine. So in the SEAL teams, I think is one of the greatest communities in the world. You have to lead by example. And when I took over the course, many of the instructors were not leading by example of being a good shooter and a good stalker. So I demanded more of the instructor staff. And once I did that, I'm like, hey, our grading criteria is too low. Let's just make it really what it's supposed to be, is 80% pass rate or on tests. So imagine if you have 10 rounds, you have to hit 8 in the black.
Mm-hmm.
It had been 7 in the black, and I think it made people lazy. So we changed it, and instructors hated me for a long time. They probably still do, but made it really rewarding to be there.
Yeah, I know. Like as an outsider looking in, people would think, well, they're Navy SEALs. Like, aren't they like hardcore in everything they do? But I mean, by definition, half of the people in any endeavor are below average, right?
Well, I don't. Maybe if you don't take the average as a whole of the whole population, they're already expert shooters. But you're asking them to do.
Yeah, but even in your own community, I mean, if you have 30 SEALs. You got the best, you got the worst, and there's an average. And I mean, mathematically, 50% have to be below average, right? And they're still elite.
Yes, people will hate me for saying that. The old cliche: if you give me 10 people, 8 are cannon fodder, 1 person is ravenous, and then the alpha is the big player. And that's the same phenomenon in any organization, even in the teams.
Sure.
There's 1 to 2 people in a 22-person platoon that are the top of the mark in everything. Then the rest are young and growing, and some are broken and old, but they're good in war, and they're not good anywhere else. And but you get the whole spectrum.
Right. So when did you retire?
In 2014.
Okay. So you got to play in the sand quite a bit, right? But both sand.
I think most of my adult life. I was in Iraq several times, and in Afghanistan as a platoon chief in 2009, which I wrote the book Unbreakable about my experience there in some gory detail. And I didn't, I use the F word quite a bit, so it makes it real. And it was an interesting time, definitely an interesting life.
Where'd you get that name, Unbreakable? Was it you that was unbreakable? Did you see others that were unbreakable?
No, I didn't even pick the name. The name was from the publishing house that bought the book. So they came up with that, having read and edited the book, that the title should be Unbreakable.
You told me before.
I called it Spartan Woman. And they said, hey, nobody cares about a strong woman. They want to know something that's impossible. And so they titled it Unbreakable.
Yeah, because the book, it was about your wife, right?
Well, it was a series of letters home, what I was going through as a leader and as a husband and as a father, and Stacy had asked me to write, things for the kids to learn in case I died. So in the book, there are 13 valuable lessons that I really think everybody should learn. That became Unbreakable, the book, and then I developed a training technology for leaders that stemmed from the book.
Would you say war is harder for those back home than the actual warriors?
No. War, I would classify it differently. It's nebulous back home. War for me was the most clear, concise experiences that I've ever had. Like, everything is very straightforward in war, but it's scary as hell. Like, you have to go into the bullet track. You have to go towards the enemy, which is scary, and you can't run because you literally will die. And but back home, them not knowing what's going on, them living in a surreal world back here while their husbands or wives are over there getting shot at, and their inability to kind of process the difference. And war, even to warriors, is different. Air Force, you guys drink coffee all the time, and fly
It's pretty good
jets,
coffee. Pretty good coffee.
and everybody has a different experience of war. But the warriors on the ground, I think there are maybe three types. The first type is people that, like National Guard, that were back home a week ago and now they're in combat and aren't ready or trained for it.
Right.
Then the people who don't have enough training to function at a high level, and then spec ops, it's a lifestyle. So war was easier than training for me. So every time I went over in country anywhere from Kosovo to Bosnia to Iraq and Afghanistan, it was so clear. And there were scary times, but shit, there's scary times riding on the roads back here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I did 4 years of the academy and 5 years active, and didn't do anything like crazy. But just my first assignment being in Osan, Korea. Clear is a good word, right? It was just less BS. I didn't know enough. I'm still a second lieutenant, but like the ops tempo was faster. We played hard. Didn't have all the woke bullshit. Didn't have a bunch of hand holding, kumbaya training. It's like I was there when Kim Il Sung died, right? And everybody's butthole puckered. It's like, do we have a war? Like, are there a million dudes going to come over the border? Are they a million dudes going to come over the border and surrender? Is my maid going to kill me? Like, what the hell? Nothing happened, right? Everything calmed down. But, I come back to the States. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I like this peacetime military stuff.
Yeah, it's nebulous. When safety occurs to people get complacent. They not on point every day, and that's people don't understand that have not been in war or served their country, is the level of clarity that you get from a 250-year-old passing on of information. And I still think everybody should have that experience in their life of being a part of a unit that has purpose.
Mm-hmm. So out of those 23 years, right?
Mm-hmm. 23.
How many of those were you a sniper? Like all of it? Can you go like straight to sniper school, or do you have to go like prove yourself and then get selected and go back to sniper school?
I kind of lucked into so from 96 until in 96, I got my sniper qual. So it was quite a long time. It took me forever to go through SEAL training, so I can't say that my whole time in the Navy I was a sniper. But you usually don't have an opportunity in the SEAL teams to go until you have a deployment under your belt. So you probably had been in the teams 2 or 3 years before you can go to sniper. But there was a need in my platoon to go to get the qualification, and I grew up shooting. So we went out on a Friday, and my platoon chief, a guy named Roy Maddox, said, top 2 shooters get to go. And all the old veterans I outshot, and we got in a little fight in the teams. It's all competitive. And my platoon chief let me go. And we started out with 20 at sniper course and graduated 3 because of the difficulty back then.
Right. So I don't know much about it, right, other than what I've seen on TV here and there. But a sniper is typically, you're farther away from the action, right? But you've got to sometimes fight your way into your position, and then somebody's got to be watching, right? Because everybody wants you in a bad way, right? Because they may come to take you out. So there's constant. Do you have a team like defending your position while you're like doing the overwatch for those more forward?
Yeah. I would break down the sniper skill set into maybe 3 categories. Shooting is what they think sniping is about. You can teach anybody to shoot well, really well. I could take anybody that would listen to me and in 2 days have them competently shooting out at 1,000 yards, reading when, doing all that stuff. The shooting is maybe a third of the skill set. The mindset is the second skill set, is literally having to deal with 1,000 things at one time and then parsing off one thing that you can do well at a time. And that mindset is why people fail. They give you tasks that are, you have to walk into somebody's backyard really close to them. And that mindset is difficult. And the third skill set is your ability.
What do you mean walk into their backyard? Like, because you can see them so close,
Yep.
or physically go to their backyard?
You literally have to, it's called reconnaissance, be able to maneuver around a target undetected, which is terrifying mentally, because you always feel you're exposed, because you can see yourself on the ground crawling, and you have to cover yourself with various, objects, and people are walking around looking for you. And what happens in the brain is the hardest thing to teach a student. I call it patience. Just sit there. We always tell them, hey, you're going to die of something. If you move too quickly, you'll die. So just be patient. The third skill set is the tactics, the taught tactics required to maneuver in and out of a target area undetected. So there's a mindset and then the tactical side of it. Shooting is simple, literally the easiest thing to teach.
Yeah. But do you have a spotter?
Sometimes you have support. Sometimes you're solo. You have to be really competent on, like, even calling in a fast mover. You have to be a communicator. I have to, most of them have the same skill set of a JTAC. And because you could be by yourself having to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So every tactic is different as a sniper. Sometimes you're very supportive of each other. Sometimes you're in there by yourself and without comms, because you don't want a signal thing picking up anything that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to go into somebody's house and grab something and take it out without them knowing. It's the craziest job in the world.
Yeah.
Which the skills taught at sniper course, at least the SEAL sniper course, are the greatest soldiering skills that you can have.
Yeah. How easy was it for you to transition into the civilian world, and how readily did business people, accept and warm up to your messaging? Because me, at least being in the military, it's like, I know veterans bring great skill set and experiences, and all things being equal, I would take a vet over a non-vet, but others have no idea, so has the business community, were they receptive to you, or did you kind of have to win people over, like, hey, the skills I have, you need in business?
I don't know if I've successfully transitioned. I think transitioning after a lifetime in the SEAL teams with people that literally sharpen their knife every day, like they want to get better every day. Transitioning out of that into a world that I thought was the same was the hardest. Yeah. Come to find out, if you meet 10,000 people, 3 are interested every day of their life. And the inherent stuck in complaints that is the civilian world was a shocker for me and for Stacy. And I think Stacy, my wife, liked the military, the whole community. I had just spent, I was done. I knew that I was getting old, and it's not a game for old people. And so getting out was difficult. But I think what has to happen for successful transition is you have to take your hat off and have a real mentor, somebody that's already succeeded in business. They're not trying to leverage you for their own advantage. And I had 3 business mentors that I met here in Greenville that said, hey, every Friday, we're going to meet for dinner and you're going to give us all your ideas, and don't make a decision without talking to the committee. And I was like, man, I don't like to ask anybody's opinion. And for a month in retirement, so January to probably March 2014, I would meet every Friday with this group of men, and every idea that I had, they said, nope, don't do that. Nope, don't do that. And they said something terrible to me, is you're the wrong personality to go work for another a business, because you're so competitive, it'll be very difficult. And I didn't even know how to spell the word entrepreneur. I'm like, what does that mean? You have a skill set, you know how to solve a lot of problems. And I look at every problem as a human solution, which was the SEAL teams. And that messaging really hits a lot of beautiful notes in the civilian community, is make people better. And that has been my messaging for the past 9 years, is I know how to do that methodology, and developed a program to teach leaders how to better themselves and then grow teams that are better.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not successfully done that transition. I still struggle.
I hear you. I understand, but you're making headway.
My wife Stacy and I's term for it is one more day. We're going to give it one more day, which is the SEAL philosophy. Just do it one more day.
Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of SEALs, and Air Force classmate of mine, he cross-commissioned in the Navy, and they did the swim yesterday. They do that Tampa Bay Frogman swim, and I did it for 7 years. And I've just gotten to know a lot of guys. I had a bunch on the podcast, and I remember several times it came up. It was like, just make it through this evolution, like or make it to the next meal, right? Like through Bud, just make it to lunch, make it to dinner. Okay, you made it. Make it to breakfast tomorrow. And business is like that sometimes. I mean, you go through hell. We got a recession coming on, like inflation, eggs cost more than gold. I mean, everybody's like, what the hell's going on? It's like, just stay in the fight. This too shall pass.
That simple stuff matters. That's the missing link in the civilian community, is make complex things simple. Do it one more day. Don't quit just because it's a downturn. Do the best you can right in the moments that you have. And they beat that into you in the SEAL teams. And in combat, you literally only have this moment.
Yeah.
Because if you're not at the top of your mark right now, even though, gosh, we just hiked 15 miles and I'm tired and I have diarrhea, whatever the complaint is, what can you do right now? And come to find out, that's a teachable skill. Right. Don't play half. Salespeople play half. They get tired. They, maybe drinking right now is not the thing to do. Be on point as often as you can, and then go to bed the night and restart.
Yeah. Do you know a guy named Bruce Roberts?
Not by name.
Retired team guy, but he's out on the East Coast. But I had him on years ago, and I met him at the swim, and I remember he said, it's real easy to be a SEAL. Just don't quit. Like, okay.
Another beautiful skill set that's not taught in the civilian community.
Yeah.
Quitting is catastrophic, and we quit all the time on everything that we do.
Yeah. How do you get that messaging across? Because in a way, it is a foreign language, right? It's and you're up here, and for in a way, it's like easy to say, right? Well, you're a SEAL and you're military and your life depends on it. I mean, you're gonna get shot if you don't do it. Like me, all right, I may miss a sale today. I'll make it up tomorrow. I'm gonna go watch this movie in the meantime. It's like, how does that translate to the civilian world?
Well, which was the genesis of the book called 3 Simple Things. Literally, there are 4 of us SEALs sitting around a table, and there had been some suicides in the SEAL teams. And if you get 3 or 4 SEALs in a room, you should do a podcast, because everything is on the table. how stupid people are. There's no filter. And the conversation went around the table is, what would happen if you died, bro? Is anything missing? And it got to me. I'm like, man, I developed this beautiful technology. At that point, I had trained around 200 leaders. I'm like, man, if I die, then all the stuff that I've learned passes with me. And they're like, hey, write another book. And I'm like, dude, you understand how hard it is to write a book? It's not simple. And so about quitting, the book, Three Simple Things, is about not quitting. It's literally a learnable skill. So what I do as part of the curriculum, the first weekend of the curriculum, you get taught how not to quit. And here's how you could do it. Anybody, it's an easy thing to say. For 21 days, keep a promise, any promise. Like if you have a wife, promise to say, I love you for 21 days. If you're an athlete, promise to work out for an hour a day for 21 days. If you're a salesperson, promise to try to make a sale every day for 21 days. Come to find out, nobody can do it. Very few people. So to date, 4,000 people have tried to do my 21-day challenge, and 82 have done it 21 days straight without having to restart. In the background of that is we quit. And how do we quit? We allow our excuses to convince us that what our excuses are telling us are true. It hurts. This is emotional. I'm tired. My wife doesn't support me. My boss doesn't support me. This is stupid is another beautiful excuse that prevents people from honoring their word, and they quit. And I forgot prevents people from honoring their word or makes them quit. Well, I forgot to bring my shoes, so I can't go on a 10-mile run. Nobody cares. Run. I'm sick. I forgot to tell my wife, whatever the case is. Nobody cares. So in the SEAL teams, you make a promise and you're held to that promise, and nobody cares. If you can quit or you can continue. So all SEAL training was originally designed to do is get rid of everybody who's going to quit. Once you're not going to quit, you actually can learn anything. Well, I don't have a college degree. Nobody cares, bro. Learn it by tomorrow morning. And you'll see guys that don't have the intellectual capacity learn because they're just not going to quit.
Right.
I have trained, like 150 different salespeople across the spectrum. Salespeople quit. They hear a no. I'm not going to do it on Saturday and Sunday. Why? It's a lifestyle. Get in front of people that you value every day of your life. Make it a lifestyle. Stop not doing that.
Yep.
And you'll see how, because anybody can be sold anything by the right person. Weird way of looking at it, but sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. But how is that received? Like, I can see a boss, right? A manager finding you and they're gung ho, but they've got a team of 10 or 20 or 100 under them who do not have this mindset, who will probably never have this mindset. Do you help them instill that and weed out those? Like how do the troops resonate with the message, coming from on high? Because this is a tough message for a lot of people.
Well, so I know this to be true. The team, the company, the organization is a mirror reflection of the leadership. So if people are not doing what they're supposed to do organizationally, the leader's not either. So people do what they're allowed to do. If you teach leadership the contextual relationship between quitting, not quitting, and success, and they instill it into their day-to-day process, the organization will then by osmosis pick up the mindset of not quitting. Because once you learn that you quit on everything, you're very graceful for people who quit on Monday. All right, bro, I know it was a struggle today. Come back tomorrow. Encouraging people that have fallen apart to get back up is also a leadership skill about not quitting. As opposed to, oh yeah, Billy quit on Monday, he's out because I don't like quitters around. Learning the catastrophic events of quitting, you allow people to hit bottom and then you pick them back up, which is really what not quitting is. Because in the teams, you want to quit all the time. You literally want to quit all the time. And then somebody says, like what we were just talking about, one more day, bro. Let's quit tomorrow. My wife's cheating on me. Okay, let's go do this and we'll quit in a week. Let's quit later. And leaders, once they figure that out, I call it grace. Once you figure out people are always on the verge of not doing well, you encourage them to come back the next day. And that's the reflection of a not quitting attitude on people, as opposed to exiting everybody who makes a mistake and quits on themselves. Okay, you failed today, good, come back tomorrow. As opposed to, well, you failed and you're out.
How do you decide though if that person just isn't cut out for it, right? When do you know to pick them up versus cut bait?
I think most those decisions that I've seen in the past 9 years were the same that I saw happen in the SEAL teams. You can always keep encouraging somebody when they come back to the table. When they quit and they don't come back, the decision has made itself. Like I'll help you as long as you come back to the table.
Yeah.
Struggle on Tuesday, struggle on Wednesday, struggle on Thursday. But on Friday, you quit and you don't come to work. You've already made the decision that I can't help you with. Because once you really quit, it's the truth, you'll never go back.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen this in business. It's like, and it happened to me when I was an employee in sales, is that companies, they're always spending their time and energy with the turkeys, right? And ignoring the eagles. And to a degree, like the eagles do want to be left alone, but even eagles, I mean, they need their head scratched sometimes. They need a kudos and attaboy. But like the companies are always focusing on the laggards. And I'm like, man, like you're saying, if you come back to the table, all right, I'm going to help you. But I'm not driving to your house, making you coffee, warming up your shower, pulling you out of bed and driving you back to the table. It's like, kiss my ass, but companies seem to really focus on those laggards. Like, have you seen that?
Oh yeah. And I kind of flesh it out differently than what you're articulating is, if you're playing the numbers game, you think the bottom numbers matter. So if you're a C-suite level and there's 7,000 employees, it's a numbers game. So encourage the people from leaving seems to be the numbers game. Or keep bringing in cannon fodder that's not committed because it's a numbers game. A more effective way that's easier to do is demand more of people. It's counterintuitive. Don't demand less. In the SEAL teams, and I wish I could make this point well, is you have to rein people in the SEAL teams. There's no word called empowerment in the SEAL teams. There's no attaboys in the SEAL teams. If left unattended, they'll go destroy everything because they love it. So great leadership where you're demanding a lot of people, you have to tether people together and rein them in. In the civilian community, it seems like the word empowerment is the catchphrase. I want to encourage people. I don't want to demand a lot of you because you're frail and you'll fall apart. And hey, you did a good job yesterday, but you didn't meet the numbers. Let's make it harder, and let's demand more of you and keep demanding more of you. I don't care about the numbers. I'm just going to demand you do 100 push-ups. If you get to 50, that's grand, but I'm not having to tell you to do 50. And so I don't make the point well. If you demand and expect a lot out of people every day, you'll find that you have to rein them in. You have to teach them to turn off the switch. If you can't get people to come to work and you keep encouraging them, that's their reinforcement, is I get encouragement whether I succeed or not, which is catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
You're not hitting the numbers. Get back to work. I don't care what you do this weekend. You need to get 100 people. I'm tired. Nobody cares, bro.
Nobody
cares. What I mean?
I know. Dude, I got this name, the Sales Whisperer, from the Dog Whisperer. I was literally watching the Dog Whisperer on National Geographic, September 1st, 2006. And he talked about how he rehabilitates rehabilitates dogs and trains their owners. And I'm like, shit, man, I do that with salespeople. Mm-hmm. But this guy, Cesar Millan, did you ever watch this show?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see people like, oh, our little Fido, he's just rambunctious and he's barking and snarling and they're petting him. It's okay, puppy. It's okay, pup. And he's like, you're encouraging bad behavior. Yep. He acts up, 100%. You pet him and you hug him and you give him attention and affection. He's like, you got to break that shit, man. It's like, and people are the same way, but like we keep doing it over and over and over again. I just see it in every company. But I guess it's a good thing. It's job security for me and you.
That's what it's a better way to say, rein people in.
Yeah.
Encouragement is for people who don't really know what they're doing. Literally, skill set needs encouragement. Teaching people to do something that's difficult needs encouragement. Once they have the skill, demand more of them. No, puppy, I'm not going to, love on you right now. Sit. Do it. Just sit.
Yeah.
And that not that you tell salespeople to sit, but all salespeople love demand. Yeah.
Sit down at your desk and dial the phone. And I tell people, sales is a lagging indicator, just like losing weight. You want to lose 20 pounds in 90 days? It's a lagging indicator. Did you have water instead of Coke? Did you have a steak instead of a chicken fried steak for every meal, right? For 90 days or 30 days, however long it takes. Okay, then you get on the scale. All right, it's a reflection. So I'm always telling sales managers, you manage activity and you pay on results. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like dial the phone 20 times, 50 times, go on 2 meetings a day, make sure you're putting out, 3 proposals a week and on and on and on. If you do these things every day, the numbers will take care of themselves. It's not magic. But they just let them.
Corporations now pay for activity. They pay for activity. Like you have to write down all your activity and you get a stipend or you get your salary for articulating all the activity that you have, as opposed to, I don't want to be paid for activity. I want 20% of the upside of everything I sell. Mm-hmm. If my activity is wrong, I'm never going to get the 20%. And they pay, like I literally firm believer that salary destroys organizations.
Oh yeah.
It's the most destructive tool a leader can give to anybody because it makes you lazy. Mm-hmm. I would rather get all my stuff done, get home at noon. Don't pay for me to be there for 8 hours a day.
Right.
Because they did that one study, they articulated 15 different companies. How much of an 8-hour day is actually effective work? 2 hours. What's the other 6 hours for? Yeah. Why you pay for it? Get your shit done. In the SEAL teams, everything is project. Get things done and go home. And you see how efficient people can be very quickly.
Yeah.
Not that that's on point, but interesting conversation.
Well, it kind of is. They several companies have done studies switching to a 4-day work week, and productivity goes up.
Yes.
Zig Ziglar always talked about, he's like, the day before you leave on vacation is your most effective day of that week, month, quarter, year. Because and especially back in his day, right? No cell phones, you're going to be inaccessible for a week or two. And he's like, why do you get so much done? He's like, because you make a list, you don't let fluff get in the way, because it's like that plane is leaving without you tonight, with or without you. So you focus, what's really important. You cut the 30-minute meeting down to 5, you turn the 10-minute meeting into a letter or a phone call, and you just get stuff done. But it's like, most people can't live like that. They're just meandering.
I don't know why they do. I developed a way to 4 points of communication that you'll find very interesting. The first point of communication, call it first base, imagine a baseball diamond. First base is a greatest sales technique in the world. Listen without judgment. Just intently listen to what somebody is saying like they fucking matter. Listen. Don't judge what they're telling you. Listen, because every human needs to be heard. I have to be heard. I have to be made important. Whether I stink today, whether I lost my ass, CEOs love to be heard. Listen. Don't judge anything anybody ever shares with you. And then when you speak without drama. Don't complain about anything. Be on point, have a purpose, and when you share back to somebody. And then if you don't know what somebody is saying, third base is clarity. Holy shit, did you say 11 or 12? Just interrupt people if you don't know what they're saying. That validates that you're paying attention. And then after every communication, home plate that rarely people ever get to is, let's do something about what we just talked about. Getting the close. Make the person say yes, no, or maybe. Don't just walk away. Most salespeople don't even get to first base, and they never ask yes, no, or maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare. And having taught, so many different companies and making that process happen, every time you communicate with somebody, listen without judgment, speak without drama, validate what you've heard, and then ask for the business. It's that simple. Yeah. But people have egos and emotion. I don't know, Wes, man, I don't know if I want to ask for the business. You probably would have heard in the first 2 seconds if this person is able to do business, because you're listening. Oh, this is the wrong person. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm out. And just leave. But people they don't use that process well.
They don't, especially in sales, and it kind of goes back to the say manage activity and pay on results. Most sales managers were just top performing salespeople who got promoted, and they were top because they were aggressive, they were alphas, they were bulls in a china shop, they were money motivated, whatever, and they got it done. But when you ask them, how did you do it? What do you mean? I just did it. But now they're a leader, and you have some B performers that maybe have A potential, but now they're just berated by this aggressive manager who didn't get sales training, and also didn't get sales management training. And now he's just screaming at his guys. You suck. I had that territory. I was 30% over quota. Look at you. You're 30% under quota. Why the hell? How'd you get this job? I'm like, okay, dude, no. Because once you show them what works, then they can kind of massage things and make it better, right? But if it's just, here's the phone book, here's your quota, you got a pipeline review every Monday, don't be late. They don't know what to do.
Yep.
OJT
training is very difficult for alphas that don't have the ability to literally that gets solved in listening. So if I have a skill set and I'm trying to impart a skill set to you, I listen first to what it's like for you to sell. God, dude, I don't like to get up in the morning. God, do I really want to wear a tie? So I listen to all that conversation that's a distractor for you. And then I go back to being on point. Hey, I want you to get on the phone right here in front of me. No drama. I just want to see you go through this.
Mm-hmm.
And most leadership has to have the fundamental skill set called patience, and it's rare.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership is a patient endeavor. They're going to fuck up 1,000 times or more until they get it right. Because everything's a failure until you succeed.
Yep.
Literally. Every time you do something wrong is supposed to be a learning lesson. But leadership that's not patient doesn't take it as a lesson. They take it as you did something wrong and they never correct it. Oh, you screwed that up. Here, watch me for a while. I'll do it.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And then listen back and forth. And the SEAL teams is biggest grace in the world is leaders listen. Like I never tasked my guys with a mission that I designed. I put meat on the table and I'm like, you guys solve it. And I listened to their solution. And because you guys are in the battle, I'm 5 steps behind. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You guys interpret it for me. How do you see this thing unfolding? And they teach you as leaders in the SEAL teams to listen first. Don't make an order without knowing where people are and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And that can actually be taught.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you speak, you always invalidate somebody. If I speak first, I'm already invalidating your point of view. Like, hey, Wes, this is what we're going to do today. God dang, I didn't want to do that today. Now I got to do what the boss tells me to do. And I'm going to do it at a half percentage as opposed to, hey, maybe we should go to Georgia and tackle Georgia today, which would have been my point of view. The boss is like, no, I want to do South Carolina. Fuck, I don't want to do South Carolina today. So I immediately invalidate as a leader somebody if I speak first.
Mm-hmm.
And you never get their point of view. So interesting dynamic.
Yeah, we can go down a big old rabbit hole, how rare that is in most of the military. You know, I think when you're on that pointy edge, that leading edge, you can have more real conversations and planning. Whereas, you know, like reading, I read About Face, you know, by Hackworth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, his book came out in 81, I think. Maybe he started writing in 81, came out a little bit later. And, you know, I entered the Air Force Academy in 88. And I was so let down, disappointed, you know, even back then, right? 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. I'm like, we're building managers, not leaders. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could see it then. And I hadn't read Hackworth's book then, but reading it after the fact, it's like, oh, the military was just awash in planners and rewarding the bullshitters. Mm-hmm. And that's what really just turned me off, like just the lack of leadership and mentorship. And people don't think it happens, but it's like we promote a lot of dipshits to very high levels in the military, in most branches of the military, right? So,
well, you know, it's counterintuitive. Like you call it the tip of the spear. People don't recognize that when you're with a group of people that everybody has gone through the same training, everybody brings a level of skill sets to training that are rare, and you want their skill set. And then as a platoon chief, you send people to specialty schools. Like I send somebody to breacher, sniper, whatever, and they come back experts. Why am I going to tell him what to do? He's the expert. Here's meat. Here's the problem that we have to solve. Use your expertise to solve it. I may know something that you don't, but I don't want to tell you, all right, here's how we're going to do this mission. And if you talk to alphas that way, they'll be like, okay, we'll do it your way. I'll do it about 50% of my skill, and we'll fail, and we're going to end up doing it the platoon's way anyway. And there's still a 50% leadership attrition rate in the SEAL teams, because if the platoon doesn't like you, they'll let you fail. And it doesn't really happen in the greater military, but the platoon selects you as their leader because they get to be better because you're there, as opposed to, whitewashing all the issues that happen.
And is that at both the senior enlisted and the officer level?
I think it gets weird at the senior chief and above level. I think it gets back to politics, and at the lieutenant commander and above, I think it becomes political as opposed to performance. Or team centered.
I mean, it's human nature. So, and egos get in the way of anything. So, it's the rare person, right, that can set that aside and focus on the mission, right? What's the old adage, no limit to the good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit.
Yep. Well, in the SEAL teams, the mission is less important as each other. So you end up focusing on each other more than you do the mission. Like even on the hike in, on the way in, on infill, you're concerned about each other, making sure everybody's doing well, everybody has what they want. You're reinforcing each other, you're reinforcing the team. You can always turn around from a mission that you perceive isn't winnable. Like, hey, it's we get there and there's 800 and of them and 20 of us. Okay, we turn around because the team matters more than the mission, because all missions can be done later except rescue missions. And so you get the mindset that you matter, which every organization should have that. Because if I matter and my life matters to my boss, I'll work harder. I'll deliver more. And if I think my boss's life matters, I'll deliver more. And as opposed to I'm just this commodity or a number that comes and goes.
Yeah. Yep. Amen. So your website is your name, right? Thom Shea, Thom with an H.
THOMSHEA.com.
So what's up with that, man? Are you bougie? Like, you wanted to be in the Air Force. So you put the H in, right? To be kind of fancy.
Negative. It's a better story than that. I took the ass out of my name.
Nice.
No, literally what happened is I had to write my name on a name tape. And as I started spelling out my name, I couldn't get the AS on it. So I just put it on and it just stuck. Like,
was this like day one at boot camp or something?
No, oddly, it could have been a longer story. So I went to West Point in 1986 and failed out in 1989. And it was at West Point that I changed it to THOM.
Gotcha.
Because I was too scared to correct it. I'm like, oh my God, put it up there.
I remember first day at the Air Force Academy. Like they pick you up at the airport. You're on a bus, and wheel you in, and back then it was called the Bring Me Men ramp. It was a quote, and it's a ramp that goes up to the terrazzo level, and then they changed it to be politically correct, so it's no longer the Bring Me Men ramp. But I digress. But I always remember that this officer gets on. It's a chaplain. Say, hey, everybody, I'm Chaplain so-and-so. I bet you're surprised. First person to greet you is a chaplain. And, we're just here to let you know you're in some trying times, and, but we're here for you and blah, blah, blah. Now I'd like to introduce you, to Cadet Fuckface. He come, you're TI, right? Screaming and yelling, sit up straight. You will not talk. Like, you will get out. You will be given 3 bags, 3 name tags. You will write your name. And you'll put the bags here, and you will take one. And man, I was so nervous, man. My handshake, I couldn't tie a knot, man. This little, things like So yeah, my name could have changed if they had. I don't know if we had to write our name, but we had to tie the string, and I was like, what in the hell did I just get myself into, man?
Well, I did it the day that we were recognized. Remember when you were recognized at the
Sure.
academy?
Sure.
So none of the upperclassmen knew my first name. They give you a tape, and I wrote oh my God. I rarely remember that story until people ask it.
That's funny.
Funny, at the academy, people yell. In SEAL training, nobody yells at you.
Yeah.
You're just scared to death because this dude in front of me is leading something that I can't do. Physically, they're demonstrably pretty impressive, and they're doing something. And if you can't do it, they'll come whisper, if you don't do this, I'm going to beat your ass. Oh my God, now I'm scared. And you see guys do physical things to other students. You're like, oh my God, I thought I was tough. And then there's this. So it's intimidation by example that is so markedly different in the SEAL teams than boot camps and academies. And it's real.
Even back then, and I'm sure it's the same now, but it's like we had to ask permission, right? Like if you got a string, may I touch you? Yes, sir. Like pull a string or something, or adjust an epaulet or something. And
there's no permission in the teams. They just beat you.
Yeah, I just I rewatched last night. It was just on Hulu, Hacksaw Ridge. Right? And they beat his ass. Basically, a red line, right? From an officer and a gentleman. I mean, they're like, get this dude out of here, beat his ass in the middle of the night. But he stuck it out. What a great story. I do remember. It's like I was not a yeller at the Air Force Academy. But yes, everybody yelled. But I would just, I'm a big guy, 6'2", I was 220 back then playing football, and I would just get right up close to, a cadet. It's like, what in the hell? And just make him kind of worry. That seemed to work.
Yeah, the presence, that's the beautiful thing in the SEAL teams is dudes have a presence when they're instructors. Yeah, it's literally intimidating. Some are not. Some are squirrely guys that yell, and you're like, I'm not even hearing what the guy's saying. And I don't remember being yelled at, but I'm sure it happened. But boy, at the academy, it was just yelling all the time. Yeah. Good Lord. I too got disillusioned from the academy. That kind of affected me, especially after flunking out. But
all right, we'll have to go through that story next time.
Okay, cool. It's not. It used to be embarrassing, but now that I'm 55, I'm like, I'll tell it. But my daughter is. She graduated class of 2020 from West Point. My dad was a class of 59, and she's now over in Korea as an Apache pilot. Like, crushing it.
Very cool.
She listened. My middle boy is struggling with 6'3", 250, and he's like, Dad, I know what I'm doing. Okay. All my experience is lost on you, Bubba. I got it, Dad.
Yeah. I got 7 kids. So some listen, some don't. And I'm like you said earlier, like if you come back to the table, I'm always here. But I'm not coming to get you.
Yep.
I done told you. I done showed you. Good luck.
I'm here when you need me.
I'll be here, but I will let you crawl for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, my hands and knees are bloody. Good. Keep coming. The table's right up here. You're almost, come on. You're almost here.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's why God made moms and dads. We always make the jokes. Like my wife was breaking Cheerios in half, as the kids, I don't even know the age, whatever, 18 months, 2 years. And I'm like, tell the kids, say, look, if you just had your mom, she'd still be breaking your Cheerios in half, but you'd be alive. It's like, if it was just me, we'd all be dead, but we'd have cool videos showing how it ended. And we'd have a lot of fun right up to that moment.
And you'd be immune to everything because I picked your food off the ground. I licked it clean, put it in your mouth.
It's like, I'll blow on it, but that's about it, man. It'll make you tough. Blood makes the grass grow, man. You'll be all right. Just roll Charlie around a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. ThomShea.com. Thanks for coming on the show. It's great catching up.
Thanks, Wes. Appreciate you.
Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Your company is a reflection of the leadership. Demand more of your people. If you've hung around me for a minute, you've heard me say, raise your level of expectations of everyone around you, even your customers, your vendors, your partners, your staff. Okay, raise your level of expectation. I love his concept. You got to rein people in the SEAL teams. So get you some good people. Get you some crazy people making stuff happen. Right? I love what he's talking about. Too much about empowerment. It's like, whatever. Get up and get going. Get after it. Too many people wanting a handout, expecting a handout, demanding a handout. It's like, kiss my ass. Don't play halfway. Quitting is catastrophic. What can you do right now? Make the hard things simple. It's hard for a lot of people. I talk to customers all the time. Golly, it's so complex. So many things they're saying. I've sold CRMs for years, and I sell them quickly because I cut to the chase. You must see things from the vantage point of your prospects. Right? Walk a mile in their shoes. Walk around the table and sit down with them side by side instead of being adversarial. So, I love we talked about the 3 skills, shooting, thinking, and tactics. So doing the thing you do is the easiest part. It's the thinking, it's the planning, the preparing. That's why I'm always telling my customers, find somebody, train them to do what you do. All right, they're going to be 70 or 80% as good as you are in the beginning. Fine. Look over their shoulder, tweak things. But eventually they'll get good. And that frees you up to do the thinking and the tactics and the planning. But that stuff's hard. That's why you're shying away from it. Get you somebody like Tom, get you somebody like myself to help you figure out what you can outsource, what to give away, help you figure out how to give it away quickly so it still gets done. Okay, but that's how you make bigger changes. So you got to be willing to do that, right? Lead yourself. Lead yourself. If you need some help with that, hit me up. You can join the group, Gorillas of Growth. I'll help hold you accountable. You have access to me in the group 24/7, right? You can ask a question, and I do like my sleep. So, but I guess sometimes I do wake up in the middle of the night. I might answer a question, but you get my point. I'm always on. You can ask at any time. You'll get your questions answered within a day. That's for sure. And then we're live every week. But get you some help. All right? That's how you grow. What's the old adage? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's go together. All right? GorillasofGrowth.com. Thanks for listening. I'll go sell something.